Thinking about this, it is the internal struggles that we have, the internal conflicts, which affect our behavior on the outside. So if we have internal conflict, that is going to be expressed as outward conflict. If we have inner peace, that will be expressed as outward peace. Whatever it is that's going on for us inside will be how we express ourselves and how we experience the world. When we know about this, we can consciously work with it and identify areas of conflict and resolve them. So let's think of some examples. Let's say, for example, you grew up with two parents and one parent was an alcoholic and the other parent was teetotal. So as a child, we have a natural tendency to want to please our parents. But in this example, there is a conflict between siding with one parent who's an alcoholic and siding with the other parent who's teetotal. Well, maybe if you found yourself in this kind of scenario, you might have naturally sided with one parent or the other. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not left conflicted, because one of the deepest human needs is to belong. So when we have to struggle to belong, when we're fighting within ourselves in order to conform or to adjust to a certain viewpoint, that is where a lot of struggles stem from. Another area which can cause conflict is religion. So imagine you grew up with one parent who is very religious and another parent who's an atheist. Again, you're being shaped in an environment where there's two very different viewpoints which are very strong, and it literally can cause a split in the personality of the person experiencing this environment, in that one side of them sides with one viewpoint and the other side identifies with the other viewpoint. So let's imagine a person grew up in this environment with one parent who's very religious and another parent who's an atheist. That environment with two opposites can literally cause two parts of a personality to be developed. So one which sides with one parent and one which sides with the other parent. This is all subconscious, of course, so it's not something, especially as a child, which can consciously be thought about, because it just is part of development. But then the person in later life can end up with two conflicting viewpoints and almost two subpersonalities. When this isn't in conscious awareness, it can cause conflict. So, for example, if there's a conversation about religion, the person might feel strongly in favour of one point of view, but under the surface, there's another whole other story going on. This zaps energy, but it all operates under the surface, so we're not even consciously aware of it. Other examples could be nationality or culture, where there's a strong difference in the culture. And culture can influence all kinds of things, values, the way that children are viewed, the way that marriage is viewed, some really fundamental foundations which a relationship, which a family, which a community is built on could be very, very different. And again, although that enriches life and exposes us to lots of different experiences, when the foundation is not clear and it's conflicted and it has differing values, that causes a lot of confusion. Again, might not be conscious, might be something that's operating under the surface. But where I was talking about echoes from the past, this is something which is going to affect choices and feelings today. Another really big one, and this is probably a whole other topic in itself for a later video, is the way that we experience love. So it's common for people to feel that they were not given the love that they needed as a child, but everyone has their own experience of love. Did your parents view money as a way of giving love? So did they give you everything from a physical needs point of view? Or was it food? Did your parents feed you and was that their expression of love? Or was there a tough love where they believed that being corrected is a form of love and being punished? Again, this is an area which can cause a lot of conflict in later life because we've learned the rules of love and the meaning of love and what love looks like. But actually, it's very rare for somebody to experience a pure love and unconditional love. So we end up feeling that we've fallen short, and also we don't know how to give love in a truly loving way. So a way that we can work consciously with this is to actually identify areas where there were conflict. So if you think about your upbringing, if you think about past experiences, you can identify areas where there were different viewpoints and where there was a lack of agreement and a lack of harmony. So say, for example, you've looked at your life and you realize, okay, one parent was very religious and the other one wasn't. You can then actually think about where those viewpoints differed and where that might cause conflict. So let's just say, for example, you were brought up to believe that sex before marriage is wrong. But in today's culture, it's very unusual for people actually to practice that. And it could be that people outwardly have that belief, but in secret are operating their lives in a very different way. But this is where there is a lack of alignment between the outer life and the inner life. So when you've identified these areas, you can then, if you view everything as being on a spectrum, so let's think about that example of sex outside of marriage. That's quite an extreme view, whereas an opposite view would be free love, where anything goes. And then there's a whole spectrum in between of different ways of believing and of operating. And the key is to understand exactly where it is that you sit on that spectrum. And that may be quite difficult to pinpoint if, firstly, you've grown up with different experiences, and secondly, you maybe haven't found what is right for you. So there needs to be a kind of conscious thinking about this, and then a putting that into practice and seeing what feels right. And that can take some time. But once you have identified where you sit on that spectrum, once you have been clear about your values and you're shaping your intentions and your life by those values, that makes you very, very authentic and confident to stand in what you believe. And this is where we can operate on a level which gives us more choice, more freedom, more confidence, and just frees up our energy to focus on things that are important rather than our energy being zapped by things we're not even aware of. So if this resonates with you at all, I'd be interested to hear. Please drop a comment in the comment section. Also, please subscribe to my channel. I like to talk about these things. I'm dropping videos in every day, and it would be great to have you join our community.